My idea of this talk was to give you a bit of an overview of my personal experience of how I went through deciding what to do after the PhD and how I decided to start a company, which now is running for the last 2 years, and how all this process went basically. I'm happy to answer any question through the talk if you have any. So during the talk, I'll explain a bit what were the options I looked around, what I thought I wanted to do, what we can think of, okay, what can I bring to society or to the companies that I'm going to be joining, and also where do I start like thinking about it or looking for an option and so on. A bit of my who I am. I mean, I got a nice Alex had like a nice introduction, but so I did physics here in Barcelona. Then I did my PhD at Imperial College. I my master's, sorry, at Imperial College in photonics, and then I went to ICFO. I came back to Barcelona to do the PhD in photonics, and afterwards I started my company. So I hate when someone starts like this a talk because this is not like the truth. Like truth is that you do not go from one place to another and then go from one place to another, and then things are not continued like easy and smooth at all. So when I did, or the reason why I did my PhD in physics is because I wanted to be a math teacher. I liked a lot maths, so I wanted to become a teacher. And then I got a scholarship to do research at ICFO while I was doing my PhD, my internship. And thanks to this scholarship, I knew what research was about, and I got to know it. And someone said, hey, why are you thinking of doing a master? And I thought, okay, so maybe it's true, I can do a master. So I looked around, and then I found this cool master at Imperial College, and I went there. And then I thought, well, maybe I can do a PhD because I like a lot of research. So there was not like a continuous path. So once you are in one stage and you want to move to the other one, I think what we should think is, okay, so it's not a direct jump, it's more like a continuity of finding a way to go there. So it's a learning process. So we should think, okay, what have I learned at each stage? For the degree, it's very easy. You go to your lectures and you say, okay, so in my case, I did physics, so I studied quantum physics, atomic physics, and so on and so forth. Easy. Then you go to your master, you also have some lectures, you have some laboratory experiments. Okay, so I learned this, and I also learned experimental setups. Cool. And then you go to the PhD and you're like, okay, so what did I learn that is not, that it's something more than my master? And this is kind of a difficult question because there is no like a nice list of things to go there and say, okay, I learned this, I learned that, and so on. And then it's very difficult to be prepared for the what's the next stage because you don't really understand what you have learned. And what we need to focus is on these soft skills that we learn during the PhD. So first of all, we learn a lot about analyzing and solving problems. Then we learn how to manage frustration. So we go to a process where nothing is working, and you are the person who makes it work. So that's very like super high valuable, and not everyone has ever been to this experience. So you are people who have this special. And then the ability of innovate for me is very similar to research, because in research you don't know how the outcome, you know, so you have an idea maybe, and then you want to find a path to get to this idea. So for this for me is innovating. We have to work with a team, and we have to manage the project in order to get into this stage. So you also have skills in project management and team management. And something that is very important is that you have the luxury to have been working with international teams. So you developed a skill that's called international communication, which is highly important for industry, and more nowadays that everything is global. And not everyone has this opportunity during their career. So I think it's something to bear in mind when you are applying for a position. So, okay, then what do we do? What do I do, or what options are? I asked this question to 30 or 40-year PhDs, and usually I get the answer, okay, I don't know if I'm going to go to academy or I'm going to continue to academy, or I'll go to industry. And the reason why people answer this is because academy, everyone during the PhD learned what it means. It means to do a postdoc, it means to become a professor, it means to have a group, it means some physical movement around the world and then ending up in a position. And industry is like a black box. Or I go to industry. People do not take it like, okay, I can do this and this and that in industry. So here I want to list a few of the options that industry can bring us. So for example, we have production. If we work at production, we can work at qualifying, testing, ensuring performance in a production line. Then we can work as a project management or a product manager, which is not the same. One is about creating a product and the other one is making the product to fit into the market. Then we can work as a line manager, which is to bring innovations or what is outside the company that is being innovated inside the company. Then we can work as a sales engineer. So we can bring all our expertise that are technical to be able to sell a product. We can work in marketing. So everything that needs to be sold needs a marketing strategy behind. So whether you are even a research institute needs marketing, because they need to have marketing to get more researchers to join, and hopefully the best researchers to join, so that they value or that they can publish at the end of the day to higher impact journals. So marketing is something very important in each company. And then there are these positions that are more hands-on positions, like software development, hardware development. So you guys might be experimentalists, so then you know how to build setups, so they will be hardware development, or process product testing, technology consulting. So there are a lot of skills that you've learned that you can put into place. And there's also like the option of go to pattern attorney, and I'm sure there are more options than that. But so the idea is not to take industry as a black box, but to take industry as many options that I can develop myself into it. The way I started looking at it when I was searching for what to do next after my PhD, so someone told me it's very different if you work in a big company or if you work in a very small company. And the stream will be to make your own company, so very, very small, because it's you, basically. And first of all, we have the number of tasks. So if you work in a large corporation, probably the number of tasks that you are assigned to do are 1, 2, 3, not more than that. But if the smaller the company you work in, then the number of tasks increases. And then if you have to do your own company, you have to do everything by yourself. So you do the marketing, you do the finances, you do the product, you do everything. And then this is opposites to specialization. So if you want to be highly specialized, then go for a big corporation, which will have a training path for you, and you'll have like one or two tasks that you're going to be expert on it. If you don't want to be specialized, then the smaller corporations will give you more tasks, but less deep into the knowledge of each of the tasks. And then something to bear in mind as well is the uncertainty. Large corporations, or at least large corporations before COVID, had less uncertainty of what is going to happen in 5 years. So probably in 5 years, they're going to be either how they are now, or a bit larger, or a bit smaller, but there won't be much difference. But smaller companies can evolve very fast, so they can grow, they can die. And if you use your own company, there's a high likelihood that it dies. There's a large likelihood that you don't know what's going to happen basically in 6 months' time. And what is the best for your personal growth? So what should I use? So I thought a lot about it, and I think it's completely up to you. So it depends on what you want to do as in your life. You want to have highly specialization. You want to be the expert on something. You want to have knowledge of many things. So it depends on you, and there's no like a one way to do this thing. And then, okay, so you have identified more or less the company now and probably what you want to do. And so what value should I bring to the company such that they hire me, basically? So I think this is a balance between what am I good at, what I enjoy doing, because I'm going to spend a few hours doing it, and then what do they need and how can I help them? with something. So when I'm writing my CV, when I'm contacting a company, I should have these two in mind. So it's about telling them what I'm good at that they need. So I look at what they need, I look at what I have, and I tell them, okay, you need this, I have this, and then I can make the match. So when someone tell you adapt your CV for each company, for each application, the reason is not because you are faking yourself and you are manning yourselves, is because so people are going to look at your CV very, very, very quickly, and they want to know if you are able to do or to give them the value that they are looking for. So it's very important that you make this effort of, okay, what they are looking for, what do they need, and which kind of company is that, what can I bring to this company, and what am I good at, and then make the match and adapt to each company. So, okay, where do we start? People around you are the most important thing. So are people who know you, who know your skills, and the ones that are going to be probably the best referring yourself to other companies. Then we have Google, and then we have to understand the way that companies find candidates. For example, if I'm a large company, I'm a corporate, I probably have a department who's specialized in looking for someone, like for a candidate. But if I'm a small company, how am I going to find this candidate? Maybe I don't have resources to hire an HR department. So maybe I'll use my contacts more than larger companies. So this is something to have in mind. And then of course there are tools like LinkedIn, InfoJobs, and something I didn't know is these things of clusters. So as well as OSA, SPI, there are clusters. There are also, each country have their own clusters. For example, in Europe, we have more than 40 clusters of photonics. So if you go to inside a website of a cluster, you'll see a list of companies. And since it is a cluster of photonics, all the companies who have joined that cluster have something to do with photonics. So they are good candidates to see if they need someone or not with your profile. And then we can look at the company's website, understand what they do, and understand if there is a match of what I can bring as a value for them. And what it's important to understand is that if I'm a company and I'm alive, so it means that I do business, I do need people to contact me for hiring. The reason is because imagine that I have 40 people in my team. These people can leave at any moment. So I will need to know a replacement, although I do not announce it in my website, although I do not announce it on LinkedIn, on InfoJobs, whatever. I will need to have a backup for all the team I have at that moment. So don't hesitate to contact companies and say, look, I know you're not, maybe now not intentionally looking for someone, but I love your company, I love what you do, and I think now or in the future I can bring a lot of value. And then if something changes in the day-to-day, they will think, that person contacted me. So it's a good option. Okay, so then it comes like the question, no? So how do we start a company, or what does it mean first? So it means for me that you're going to learn a lot of things. It means also that you're going to need to manage a lot of frustration and uncertainty, and it means perseverance. These three things are things that you already know because you come from a research field, so and you learn it there. So there's nothing new about it. But what is new is the financial plan. So when doing research, you have this part saved somehow. It's true that you can apply for grants, but you are inside an institute, there is some kind of a way that you're going to get money from someone. But when you start your company, it's very important to understand, okay, there's going to be a time where I'm not going to have clients because first I need to probably create a product or create something. So then this time, who's going to pay my bills? Who's going to pay the food I eat? So you need to have either it's an investor, either it's your savings, either it's your family, your friends, but someone will have to pay all of this. So it's something to have in mind that maybe not everyone can start an idea or a company because this has to be solved. And then you need to find someone to help you a bit. So it can be a mentor, it can be good, and I said or not because imagine that is not a good mentor. It's okay. That person will help you maybe to the first stage. And then once you are in that stage, you can find another mentor. You can find other ways. But if you do not find maybe someone who guides you for the first moment, it might be difficult for yourself to to see, okay, the idea I have is good enough and I want to pursue it now, and to feel comfortable and confident to go to the next step. So where do I start? I have an idea. So in my case, I had a list of 30 ideas. So I went to a friend and I said, okay, I have these 30 ideas and I want to know if one of these, what do you think about these ideas? And he went through them and it was like, okay, that's bullshit. No way this is going to happen. This is already exists. This is whatever. And he went like to many of them. And then there were 3 that he was like, well, you know, this maybe, we'll see. So then what you do with this maybe, we'll see, is that you need to see if there is a market, if there are more people who think this idea is good, if it's something that brings value so that someone is going to be able to pay for it, or they're willing to pay for it. And when you have these 2 more or less set, okay, so then I need a team. I need someone to help me because there are a lot of things to do. So then I have an idea, I have a market fit, so I can convince someone to join. So this is what I did. I convinced someone to join my team, who is now, well, the co-founder of Meetoptics. And then we found a way to finance at least the first year. So we said, okay, so we put our savings and we started Meetoptics with our savings. So when we started Meetoptics, the idea was clear. It was, we wanted to help our community. We wanted to make photonics in general more accessible, easy to understand, easy to use, easy to buy a component, easy to compare. We wanted that was the idea behind. Then what we did, so this came from me when I was doing my PhD. This is a picture of my lab when I was at ICFO. And there, I mean, it was very frustrating for me that we had to stop the experiment for weeks to try to find the exact optical component that we needed for our setup and to be able to continue, because you would compare, I don't know, from Thought Labs, Edmund, and then look at all the specifications. No one really had what you needed. Then you had to contact some other company. So we thought, okay, let's build a reference platform that gathers all this information in once. And with that, we created Meetoptics with a technology that's called meta search. So it searches for what is available in the market in real time. And now we have more than 30,000 products and from verified providers. We made it, the technology ourselves, such that can be highly specialized in photonics, and our users, so this could be you, can filter, sort, compare any product by any specification. And since we are researchers, or we come from this field, we are not biased in companies. So if you filter by the specifications that you need, then the products will appear. And we also offer professional guidance with technology. So for example, if you don't know how to do something or you need some technology, what we do is we analyze your request and we match it with a company that can provide this technology as well. So what we want to do with this is to give you the opportunity to find the best option, either in products or in technologies that facilitate all these all these problems on the searching. At the moment, we have quite a few companies already, so you can compare products like from Thought Labs, Edmund, up to Sigma, and so on. And we got more than, here it says 44 requests for technology, but indeed I think it's more. It's almost 50 already from companies like Volkswagen, Intuitive Surgical, but there are also companies that are much smaller that they also request our help. So the first time we launched it, we went to Munich, to Clio, and we launched only the search for lenses. So it was very, very small, but people got very excited and we were like, okay, so then let's build more products. And we got also excited to invest a bit more of our money. And now we have more than 30,000 products, 30 different subcategories of optical components, and we got more than 11,000 users. The idea of next year is to put other products like optomechanics, light sources, lasers, fiber optics, detection devices, and so on. So what you can do now and at Meetoptics is you can go and register. And when you register, you're going to be able to save the card, also share it with your purchasing department, for example. You can request services. You can be updated with when we launch new functionalities. And you can also comment and rank different products. And of course, leave your feedback. That's because since we launched it, well, we got feedback from many people, and this helped us build it such that it's useful for you to search products. So we do seek for this help from you. And with this, I mean, with our idea in mind of wanting Meet Optics, make it more accessible, we want to help also like our photonics community. Just to end my talk, so I want to give some take-home messages. One is that it's important to listen to yourself, like to see, okay, what do you like? What can you bring as value? Then it's important also to start doing something, although it's not the perfect thing, doesn't matter, just start doing some action. Go there, talk to someone, go to that conference online or not, then send this email that you are hesitant to send it, and just do something, and this action will become other actions that now you cannot predict. And networking is extremely important. I think Araceli is going to talk about it a bit more, but it's very important because it brings connection with people. And something like to have in mind as well is that if you see that someone else has done something, you can also do it. So you guys came to a position already, like you already found a PhD or you already found a master. So you know that if you saw other people doing it, you can also do it. So with this in mind, I think you can reach much farther. And something I was not thinking about since recently is that if you look around you and you see a table, you see, I don't know, a house, you see on the internet itself. So everything that you see, that you can touch, that you can think about, someone else has made it happen. So this can be yourself. Like if that person would have not thought to make that chair, that chair would not exist. So you can make that chair happen. You can make, I don't know, whatever happen. And this is like probably my take home message, the most important one, like make it happen. And yeah, so I think that's it, and thank you.
Well, that sounded great. Thank you very much, Barbara. Like we said beforehand, if you've got any questions, please pop them in the chat. We've got them here from Mathieu, who asked, who's helped you with the business plan? Were ICFO supportive, or did you rely on more external factors for getting Meet Optics off the ground? I'm personally interested in Meet Optics as well, because I'm looking for optical components at the minute as well.
Sorry, I did not understand well. Let me unshare maybe the presentation and then I'll see your faces.
Sure.
Stop sharing. Okay. Is this question in the chat?
Yes. Yeah, it's in the chat. It's in the chat box by Mathieu. So he's asked, who's helped you with your business plan? Did ICFO support you? Was there like a business mentor there?
Yeah, so no, like no one really helped us that at the beginning. So we decided, we thought software was cheap and cheap to do. So we decided to put our savings and go for it. Then it was a bit more difficult. So we had to put a bit more money and find investors. So now we have investors, but that was 1.5 years after we started. So the first 1.5 years, we did not have a salary and we put our savings to make it happen. So,
wow.
Yeah, so that's bootstrapping. Yes.
That sounds like quite the leap of faith you've had there. So you've had so I suppose, so in that regards, you mentioned about like getting grant applications and startup applications. Are these very similar, or are there fundamental differences between them?
Sorry, what do you mean by applications?
So like applications for funding sort of thing. So you mentioned, I think you've mentioned about like grant applications.
Yeah, so there exist some grant applications. If sometimes, I mean, it's difficult to get them, like it's quite difficult. We did not get any so far. And yeah, so it's difficult, and sometimes they ask you to prove some of the grants. They ask you to prove that you're already in the market. So you need to kind of find who's going to pay this to get into the market first. Yeah, that's the difficult part.
Hence, you're putting in your savings to start with. On a similar sort of approach to the first question, was there a professional development aspect to your PhD, or was it purely academic research? Did you have someone to kind of help and motivate you on that professional development side for starting a business?
So I did my PhD in experimental physics. So I had to plan. I planned 4 experiments in total, where I applied to grants and we went to synchrotrons to do the measurements. So this of writing grants, more or less, I had it. Did not. So I went to 2 innovation scholars or that schools that they teach you a bit what is a business, like how to make from the idea of the, I don't know, like from science to business, and how to do this kind of a step. I went to do 2 of them, like one in here in Spain in the business school and one in Scotland in St Andrews. So that was a very good one. That was a good one. I always say organize that, and it was a good one.
I believe this is Strathclyde based, and I believe Strathclyde do as part of the super classes. I believe there is an entrepreneurial class. So if you're part of the super network and you're interested in starting your own business, would definitely recommend getting on, seeing if you can find out more about that. Is there any skills you'd wish you developed at university, given your current career path?
So you mean that I would have liked to be developed, or that that would have liked? I mean, so I did not I did not have any knowledge about economics, so all the financial part, and this is tough, like, because they use very particular names of asset, equity. I don't know, like they have like many names that you need to understand the meaning, and I had no idea. So I guess it would have been easier, at least, to understand what they mean from the beginning. But so as I said during the talk, anything you want to learn, it's easy. So there's nothing more difficult than a PhD, I think, because during the PhD so it's very difficult to find resources to go to the next step, and it's more you trying out everything. But when you start a company, there are many people who has started already companies. You just need to find them and put them to help you. But there are places to go, and there are books to read, and so it's about learning how to.
I suppose in the age of Google, everything's just
Exactly.
away, I guess. There's a question here from Niels, more specifically about Meet Optics itself. What's the particular benefit that Meet Optics offer suppliers? How does it benefit them from making it easier to compare with competitors?
So we offer them that the easy integration. So we take care of the integration, we update the product, so that's very easy. So they don't need to spend resources. It's another way for them to give them visibility into the market. So I guess you as a researcher, as a PhD, go to 1 or 2, and then if they don't have it, it's like, okay, if it's important, maybe you spend more time, but if not, you cannot bother so spending more time. So for the smaller companies, it's highly important because it's visibility into the market. So it has high importance. And then what we do is it's transparency. So our users, so which are researchers, engineers, they go directly to the company, they buy, they know. So it's very, we give them reports of how many visits and how many clicks. So everything is very transparent in that sense. And they know we are building it for the community, so they don't need to pay to compete with others. So we just put the products they have on their websites, the prices they have on their websites. So it's a clean and nice way for researchers to have like a list of products, and then they can compare, I don't know, like one company with another company, and why would I choose one or another one? Depends on their competitive value, so they can promote their competitive value much nicer.
Thank you very much.
One last question. Thank you very much for your time, Barbara. One last question from Robert Parr. Knowing the skills that you've found that you've lacked, was it easy to network to find mentors in that respect to help in that process and getting those skills?
It was not. Well, not and yes. So there are some programs I didn't know the names about. They are called incubators and accelerators, and there are many. And those are companies which their business is to help other companies to grow, and then maybe they get part of your business or not. And then in that incubators or accelerators, there are a lot of resources in economics, in finances, in how to make a business plan and so on. So these are good options. Then, so to have investors is more difficult. Like to have really someone who invests on you, coming from a background which is more scientific, it's difficult because first you need to learn how to talk the same language as they do. So you need to understand, okay, what they are looking for, what are their interests, what is the language, because they are going to ask you for words like runway, MVP, what's your projections, how much you want to spend, and you're like, well, I just have this idea, and it's amazing. But they do not care that much about the idea itself. What they care is about returning of the money and like money, basically. So you need to learn the language and then convince them to invest. So this is more difficult.
Yep.